Yeah, so that you can move the grass with her mouth down. Oh, cool. You want that? Okay. Are you just selecting the good parts? Sorry, and what's your name? Oh, you're like a domestic horse now. There you go. You fogged up the camera. Have a kiss? Kissy? She say no. No kisses yet. Oh. Got some on grass. Alright. Do you help this? Oh, we're picking it off the ground now, so I don't know how nice that random grass is. No, you're going to start trying to break out, aren't you? Oh, you're going to knock my camera off. Please don't destroy it. Are you good there? We don't go in with them as that makes them feel safer. And it also means if they get defensive for whatever reason, we don't have to defend ourselves. So we're not creating those negative associations. It's on the ground if you want it. We want every interaction to be as positive as possible. Just no, trying to fetch you click equals food, but I think you just interested in the food, which is good. But we make sure that they always get grass. We're not trying to train any certain behaviours. We're just creating positive associations so they get grass if they're 10 metres away or if they're right next to us and we're touching them. We want to be friends and have them feel happy around us. They're free to come and go as they please, meaning we're not the only available food they have access to. They've got hay and baleage and even still little bits of grass in the yards they can eat, and they've also got water, obviously. So this is so they don't feel really pressured to come and eat our grass. We want it to be their choice. And if we had the only grass available, then it wouldn't really be a choice if they feel like they're really hungry and have to eat the grass. You got stuff on the ground that you're just... That was a nice little touch. We're gonna go and get your friends. Here I'm introducing Elaine to touch and the clicker. So click equals food, but a click doesn't actually mean anything to the horse initially. We have to condition it, so every time I click she gets food. And we just happen to be doing this with touching at the same time, so I'm holding my hand up and it's her that touches me. That's the big point, because this gives her the choice and control, which makes her feel empowered and more confident in doing it. So I keep my hand still, she moves her head to my hand, click, so we're marking that precise moment she touched my hand, and then she gets a treat, in which case this is grass. And in doing that, she's going to want to touch my hand more and more, because she hears a click, and she's figuring out that each time she hears a click she gets grass, so she wants to hear that click again. Again. By listening to all their little signals and respecting their boundaries, we're teaching them that this communication with these strange two-legged things goes both ways, and that they can tell us things and we'll listen, and that creates this foundation of trust, which hopefully the rest of their relationship with people will be built on and continue to build on. That kid. Oh, look at that. How about this? Do you want some scratches? She touches me and then I'm like, okay, we can over here. It's okay, sorry. I can scratch you if you want. You do want scratches, it's just a bit scary? Okay, bum we can do. You want bum scratches? Okay. No, she's not going to touch the fence. Don't touch the fence.
Shit, of course I missed it.
Hey. Yes, hello. What are you looking at? So the Kais were led into the paddock this morning, and honestly it didn't quite go how we were expecting. What normally happens is, before we let them into the paddock even, we check, like, there's some criteria that they have to meet. So they have to be able to have me in the yard with them without freaking out, preferably staying pretty close, and like we've got like 2 yards and the gate's open so they can go between them, and they stay in the yard that I'm in, and even kind of like creep closer to like be like, hello, do you have food? And also, like, if something scares them, the yard's not like run into the yard fence or anything, like know where the fences are and go around. Then we check the electric fences are working, and try and make, we've got proper wire post and electric wire fence around, which they all seem to get as a fence pretty quick. And then there's just this gap that I'm sitting in, which isn't actually, that's probably just like 10 metres across, where we put tape, and then I put like cones under the tape, and it's electric tape so they can see the cones, and there's lots of grass in the paddock, so hopefully they just stay and eat the grass. And if they do go through the electric tape, then there's wire fence all around, so they can't actually like go anywhere. But yeah, what normally happens is it takes them about 4 or 5 hours to actually get the courage to come out into the paddock, because they go out of the yard, touch the fence, get a zap, and go running back to the yard because that's their safe place. What happened this morning was they all came out eating the grass, were really happy to have grass and settled, and like kind of knew there was a barrier there and weren't going to go through the fence. And then Pearl touched the electric fence with her nose, got zapped, and it always breaks my heart when they do that. I feel so mean. But it is good that they get zapped, because then they do not touch the fence. But anyway, she touched the fence, and instead of running back to the yard, she, for whatever reason, ran into the paddock, and the others followed her. So when they got to the paddock, they were already like basically in flight mode, too stressed to eat, and they were kind of like all sniffing, and they came up to the tape fence, and Pearl and Elaine sniffed it and looked like they weren't going to go through it. And we're like, okay, this is a barrier. And then Indy got a fright by something. I think it was me, because I was walking like away from them, but behind some bushes to come around to see them from this side, and Indy just jumped through the fence, and it just came down. They were fine, but then they were in the whole paddock. The little foal Elaine, I swear she's been zapped about 5 times. I keep going, don't touch the fence. She goes up, gets a zap, gets a fright, and then goes back up. So I mean, she is starting to get this fence there and hasn't tried to go through it, but she's like, maybe I'll just touch it this time and it won't eat me. They're good with the wire fence now. I've just been sitting here watching them for 2 hours, and they're very happy eating the grass. They've actually come up within a couple of meters of me to say hello, so nice to know they still like me. But it's just the tape, so what I'll do, we'll lock them in the yards tonight just so they're safe. Sometimes I do leave them out overnight if they look really settled, but just because they've already gone through the tape, I'll put them in the yards so we know they're safe for the night. And then in the morning I'll put the tape back up, make sure it's electric, but I'm going to park our ute parallel to the fence, and we've also got an old gate line around. Well, that's not, it is old, but it's still like in workable condition, and lean that against the ute so there's a physical barrier behind the tape fence for them to see. That interesting, because normally they don't like gateways. All the other Kais have had, like, there's a gateway and it's like there's a fence there and they won't go through, even if they haven't known it's the gate, like they haven't been in the paddock and the gate's just open, just there's that small 2 meter gap. They don't go through small gaps. You need like a huge gap for them to actually go through all time. These guys just go through the gateways that we have open for them. Like, it's not a small gap, so the small gaps don't seem to scare them. The other thing that didn't help today is the neighbours. We have a house, the boundary line is like where the fence runs up, but it's covered in trees. So I mean, chances are they're not going to run through a tree, so that's pretty good. But the house has actually been empty for like 3 months. And of course, I think they moved in like a couple of days ago. There's now people living there, and they're like really noisy. So that scared the Kais a bit, having random people there and noises. And then our other neighbours, it's gone a bit quiet now, but it was like as soon as we lit the Kais into the paddock, everyone decides to start chainsawing and moving their cattle on their quad bikes and that. I mean, which they're all entitled to do. But it's like, of course, as soon as we moved the Kais, everyone's like, let's have a party and make lots of noise. So they were like, whoa. But they didn't actually mind that too much. But it's just like another trigger to add up, and then you get trigger stacking where they just like completely lose it because they're worried. But no, the foal Elaine actually came over and ate grass out of my hand before, so they're clearly still like people and are settling. But look at that, they're deciding to put themselves away from me. For the first times in the yard with them, we just want to be as quiet as possible and have grass available for them should they choose to eat it. We're just hanging out and being friends again, and I want to make sure they're sitting quietly in the yards so they don't have to come over to me, but I want them to be eating their hay or baleage or just chilling in the corner. I don't want them to be trying to jump out or even pacing back and forth or head high, tense, looking at me. That means we've gone too fast and we need to move away from them or even not be in the yards yet. Get all this grass I picked on the driveway. Okay, I have to carry it now. Okay. And I'm also, that's what I was going to say, I'm also using scratches. And that's just so that we don't get resource guarding with the other girls. Here I'm just teaching Elaine that she can touch the cone to get rewarded. So we're basically just showing her that her actions have consequences and she can change her physical reality around her to get what she wants. And when they work this out, it can be really fun for them because they suddenly realize they can make the human give them what they want. They just need to work out the magical behaviors that do this. Oh, there. Oh, here you go. Okay, I'm going. Bit of a lane, isn't it? That's the spot.
She's like, keep scratching.